Hi.
Short Bus Debate Club. It's a bus rolling.
I can get on board. Hello, I'm Darren Jolly.
It's time to get this short bus started. So let's roll and on with the show. All right, welcome to part 2 of Short Bus Debate Club Glamorous Prison Movies. Glamorous might be sarcastic, but since we're talking about the movies, you know, there's all that glamour, glitz, fame, fortune. It used to be that if you wanted to get rich and famous, all you had to do was go to Hollywood. So I'm Brian Courtney. Darren Jolly's across the table as usual.
Hi.
And fuck it. So we finished out the last episode kind of abruptly, I would say, mainly because I was watching the time. So
Why are you watching the time, dude? We don't need to clock watch now.
I know I shouldn't do that. So besides American History X, none of the other movies that I talked about toward the end there, you haven't even seen any of them, right?
I haven't. I haven't seen American Me. I hadn't seen fucking Escape from Alcatraz. There's another one that we haven't brought up that I wanted to ask you. Have you seen In the Name of the Father?
That's the IRA one, right? Yeah.
I mean, because that's got like the best actor in the history of the fucking universe in it.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. You don't like him?
He's okay. I wouldn't call him the best actor in the fucking history of the universe.
Dude, Gangs of New York.
Are you talking about? Oh, okay. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie. Because I was thinking of that dude from Last of the Mohicans.
That's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Okay. Well.
You don't like him?
No, he's okay. And in the Gangs of New York, he was fucking badass. But.
And There'll Be Blood. He was awesome in that. Dude, he's a bad mamma jamma. Lincoln, he was good in. He's a bad mamma jamma, dude.
Okay, well, clearly you like Daniel Day-Lewis. Sorry. No, but
most of them I haven't seen, though. You're correct, yes.
So, and we didn't, I didn't even think about talking about movies that were over there, because there are a couple of different IRA movies where people were imprisoned without trial, and
that's what In the Name of the Father,
right.
There's two guys that are wrongfully imprisoned in association with IRA activities.
Yeah, but there's probably more than just a handful. Considering the region and all of the shit that was happening since fucking 1920, whatever.
Yeah, it's
1919, whenever it fucking started. So there's probably more than just a couple, and Name of the Father is one of them I can think of. But I didn't even think about talking about IRA stuff or CIA black site stuff. Because otherwise I would have mentioned like Zero Dark 30, because that's, well, military, CIA, prison.
A lot of the political stuff I stayed away from, because then what's the Great Escape? That's the Japanese internment camp or something like that.
And I didn't mention, I think it was, I can't even remember. There was one called Siberia, I think, in the 80s.
Like the Gulag or something?
That was talking. Oh, and there was one called Gulag. Yeah. Or maybe it was just called Gulag. But, and it was about Americans escaping from, this Siberian prison Gulag. And having to run through fucking snow for hundreds and hundreds of miles, and over mountains and through trees and falling in frozen rivers and whatever. I thought, because we were talking about the prison industrial complex earlier this week, Well, maybe that ties into the black sites, and we should talk about Zero Dark 30. I didn't think I'd like that movie, and that was pretty good.
I've not seen it. It's another one in the long list of movies that I haven't seen.
Well, the redhead from Molly's Game.
Yeah.
And Ava. She is a CIA agent.
Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. And she ends up at one black site at the very fucking beginning, but then she's so just driven by finding Osama bin Laden that she starts visiting these terrorists at all these other fucking black sites all over the world, really. But I know they showed her going to Poland, and the black site was in some fucking big ass boat, and they showed her at Guantanamo Bay, and
so is she like some super interrogator then, or what?
No, not at all. In fact, she kind of got a little sick at the beginning of the movie when the one interrogator was doing what it was he was doing, beating the fuck out of the guy, waterboarding.
So when she's going from black site to black site, is she just going to talk to these people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, because like torture as a means of extracting information is not. It's not effective.
Fucking retarded.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you whatever you want to hear just to stop fucking waterboarding me or whatever it is that you're doing.
Quit punching me in the balls, and I'll tell you. Just stop. I don't know how much torture I could take. Again, I think at a younger age I could have taken a lot more. I know that I would never give up anybody that meant something to me. Because I'm not a fucking rat, and I'm not a hardcore fucking, convict or anything, but I know, dude, there's supposed to be a code. Whether or not that code exists anymore is irrelevant. To me, the code exists. So I'm not fucking ratting anybody out.
When Matt sold that quarter pounder to that cop, I told you, I mean, my mom's sitting there and the tears are, mascara, and again, they're watching too many cop shows, I mean, I'd sat there in the fucking holding cell for 2.5 hours, and they took my belt because they don't want me to kill myself.
That's all a game, dude.
Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah. So we go out, and your mom's you're upset, and you're going to go to jail for a long time, and whatever. Long story short was they said it to me 3 times, and after the 3rd time they said you can go, and didn't charge me or anything.
Dude, they try that stupid shit with pretty much everybody that ends up at the station. But one of my favorite scenes on The Wire, there's this kid, his name is Bodie Brodus, and he's a corner boy. He slings.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that what they call him in that show, Corner Boys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it moves up, but he works the corner.
Sure, I got you.
But it's essentially an open air drug market. I mean, you just pull up and tell them what you want. So they pull him in because they find fingerprints on a gun. And Bodie had tried to throw him off a bridge, but he did it while they were driving. So he didn't realize that it fucking hit a boat. And the guy on the boat turned him into the cops and whatever. So they had his fingerprints, or they said they had his fingerprints on one of the guns. And he's like, really? Huh. Which one? And the cop's like, that one. That's you right there. And he goes, lawyer, motherfucker. So it's just, I mean, they play those fucking head games constantly, and it makes me fucking sick. I think, okay, we can probably talk about this another time with police procedure and everything else, but in the United States, there's no law against a cop lying to you. So that means they can tell you your friend just copped to the entire fucking thing and put you in.
Yeah, anything that will allow them to entrap you in a...
I've got 6 fucking eyewitnesses. I've got fingerprints. I've got whatever. DNA, whatever horseshit. And then that's designed to make you go, all right, well, you know, if you tell the DA I fucking admitted it, I'll open up to you and write all my shit down and sign it. Dude, it's wrong.
But in True Detective, Matthew McConaughey's skill set with regards to this was particularly...
No, I liked it when he went and told her, they don't like girls like you in prison. You should kill yourself.
Holy fuck. A realist pessimist or something. I don't know what he called himself. Fucking awesome. That's a prison show, because there's a lot of people in prison.
Or going to prison for sure. Yeah. But like I said, I mean, second and third seasons of that, not so great, but HBO never made a bad show.
Okay, so I'm gonna use the HBO things. I know we got to get to the trauma stuff more specifically here shortly, but first,
well, we don't have to. We're supposed to be light.
I know, but trauma as a concept in prison films is pretty, it's there. But I've never watched Oz, and I know you loved Oz. I mean, that that's a show that, I mean, I never watched Orange is the New Black either, but these are shows that are about the structure of life inside prison only.
So I will admit to watching both from front to back. I didn't watch Orange is the New Black at first, and at first I didn't even know what the fuck anybody was talking about. I thought, seriously, when I heard it on the streets, hearing girls talking about it and shit, that they were talking about fucking fashion. Like, they were going to buy an orange dress because it was the new black. I thought it was something fucking stupid like that. I didn't even realize it was a fucking show. So I watch it, and much different than Oz. The same dude that did Weeds did Orange is the New Black. Genji Kohan or whatever.
So he likes strong female leads. I mean,
yeah, I think that's fair. There were definitely some things I didn't like about the show, and to be honest, I can't remember what the fuck they are, but it was mostly procedural stuff. It was, they're not going to let that many girls stand there for that long without breaking them up. They're not going to let any one girl walk through this portal without being checked. They're not going to leave that gate open. That kind of shit.
Like technicalities and shit.
Yeah,
like that?
Just because it was supposed to be a prison show, not a fucking lesbian love story. And it ended up being more of one than the other.
Okay.
Which I guess you could say that about Oz to some degree, that it ended up being some sort of queer fucking love story.
But and interpersonal relationships in the context of prisons is an important question.
Yes. Okay, so, and maybe they did that in both. So in Oz, Christopher Maloney, who kind of blew up after, and let's see, his name was Vern Schillinger in the show. I don't know. Both of them ended up on Law and Order SVU. Vern Schillinger ended up playing one of the shrinks, and Christopher Maloney played the cop.
I don't know how watching Law and Order SVU is good for anybody's mental.
But those Law and Order guys really loved the fucking cast from Oz, because they fucking dipped into that pool a lot. So
Vern Schellinger, did you say?
Yep.
Oh, J.K. Simmons. Okay.
Okay, so he was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood, and Christopher Maloney came in later. But he ended up befriending this guy that Vern Schillinger had fucking tortured. And after he got tortured, that guy fucked Vern Schillinger up. And like shit on his face and all kinds of stuff. They booted him out of the Brotherhood for a while because this little, what they called Prague, had shit on his face and fucked him up. Made him wear a patch on his face or on his eye the rest of the series.
Because he had the worst case of pink eye that ever was?
Well, no, because before he fucked him up, he shattered some glass and it went in his eye and whatever. So he shit on his face later.
The pink eye thing would have been funny though. I mean,
and probably
happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get a turd in your eye, you're gonna get pink eye.
So Christopher Maloney comes in, and his job, because he knows Vern from another prison earlier in their life. So his job is to, build trust with this guy Toby, and then they're gonna fuck him over. And they really go to fucking him over. I mean, he gets the trust built, and then between this one guard, Vern, and Christopher Maloney, they break both his arms, both of his legs, and just fuck him. I mean, he ends up getting revenge, but that entire rest, because I think that happened in like season 3, maybe.
How many, 6 seasons? How many seasons
is it? That's hard to say because like season 1 had 6, season 2 had 8, season 3 had 12 or 14 or some shit. So they didn't.
It lists as 6.
Okay, so 6 is fine, but they're not all. It's not the same number per season. But so for the rest of the series, that Toby and whoever the fuck Christopher Maloney plays, they are basically on again, off again lovers. And that's similar to what happens in Orange is the New Black, because this blonde chick, Piper, that gets thrown in jail, her ex-girlfriend shows up, and she's the one that turned her in. So there's some animosity there, and so they don't talk. They argue a little bit. They end up munching each other's boxes, and then they're back together, and then they're off again, and then on again, and off again, and on again. So
it's not box eye.
No, it's pusses.
Puss eye? It would have been better if I popped it a little quicker, but hey, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Puss eye.
So
there are some similarities, I suppose. I liked Oz better because they made it a point that it wasn't just a drama. So, and I forget his name too. The black dude who played in the Matrix.
Not Lawrence Fishburne. The other one.
No, the one.
One of the brothers.
Yeah, not Tank. But the one who came in the second one.
Oh, they're cousins to that guy. The one that's I can't remember what his name is in real life.
Well, anyway, that guy during the entire series was kind of the narrator. And from time to time, he would give information that was important, fucking valuable information. And like I said, when we were talking about the prison industrial complex, most of those stats have probably expired. But one of the things that hasn't that they taught me while I was watching Oz that I didn't realize. So I knew felons can't vote. But what I didn't realize is that traditionally they always built prisons in rural areas, and I knew that also. What I didn't know is that these prisoners that are coming from the inner city go out to these fucking other it's Harold Perrineau. Okay. They go out to these rural areas, and then when the census comes through, they count those prisoners as part of the county or city that prison is in. So that county, even though it may only have 35 fucking people in it, gets this bloated fucking budget for social welfare and school, or however they end up chopping that money
because
up.
They're running a game on people that aren't even incorporated into there.
Right. And so not only these people can't vote, so they can't say, hey, fuck you, this crime bill is bullshit. So at that point, I mean, it's more productive for the politicians to leave them in jail, and it's definitely more, you want to say, financially efficient for the counties to leave those people where they are, because they're making money off of them because it counts towards the census, and I don't know what they get per person, but so we're taking money out of the city center where education and social programs
you need the fucking money
could help drop crime, and we're moving it out to the fucking county where
they don't need shit.
It doesn't do anything.
Well, it does something for somebody, but it's not something you're hurting somebody else or some other community.
And so I didn't realize until watching Oz, and there's lots of other valuable information that probably isn't expired in the show, so if you haven't seen it, watch it. But it's a scary motherfucker too. But they're just, fucking poor people over one more time. And I'm not saying poor people don't live in rural areas. There are a lot of fucking poor people in rural areas. But, well, hopefully you guys get the point. If not, change the fucking channel because you're a retard. Sorry.
I don't think that's the preferred nomenclature, dude.
I just watched Tommy Boy the other night.
I've never seen Tommy Boy, dude.
It's not a prison movie, by the way. But
that's key. We're off topic. Okay.
David Spade and Chris Farley get on this plane at the end, and they're pretending to be flight attendants. And David Spade is doing the announcements, and he's like, "There's emergency exits here, and maybe there's one over the wing." And Chris Farley's just pointing to random places because he doesn't know where to point because David Spade's
that old slapstick thing that he's very good at.
And he goes, "Well, and seatbelts." And he goes, if you don't know how to use your seatbelt, ring your call button, and Tommy Boy will come back and hit you in the head with the tack hammer because you are a retard. So
it was not the preferred nomenclature there either.
No, but it was fucking hysterical, and it still makes me laugh.
Yeah, sometimes you got to hit somebody with a tack hammer because they don't know how to put their seatbelt on. Because what do you do with the person that doesn't know how to put their seatbelt on?
I don't know. Put them in prison and float a fucking county budget.
That was kind of a crafty response. So, Oz and Orange is the New Black. There are valuable life lessons that you can get from there that don't just have to do with prison, but help you to understand.
No, Orange is the New Black. I don't have any valuable life lessons.
Only Oz.
No,
only
yeah.
Oz. And that'll teach you about censuses and how they are fucked up in the way that they are applied with regards to how they count prisoners in specific locales.
Well, and there's other stuff. I think that
even
if the stats aren't still accurate, it should pique your fucking interest enough to get you to do some research on your own. But like I said, Oz is a scary motherfucker. Like,
You mean like what life is like in prison, or
yeah, it seriously, even to this day, I'm still kind of freaked out by it. And like, I've been in sales. I sold the Department of Corrections switches forever until they switched to Cisco only.
Uh-huh.
And every time I talk to somebody down there, I'm like, hey, is it really like Oz? And they're like, no, it's not like that at all. So obviously they stretched it to some degree, but it's still like that. I
Well,
mean,
and it depends on where you're at, right? I mean, like what goes on in American History X to him, like the California penal system, I would imagine like Rikers, like the New York penal system. I would imagine like the Illinois penal system. Like there are spaces that are carved out. The political economies inside of those places is a lot, So like when you see like what the fuck is Ed Norton's character's name in American History X? Um,
Danny?
Danny, yeah.
No, Danny's the
Danny's the
younger
little
one.
brother, yeah.
Um,
Whatever his fucking name is, and we'll figure out here in just a second.
yeah.
When he turns his back on the Aryan Brotherhood, especially when he's got fucking tattoos of swastikas and fucking iron crosses all over his body and shit like that, he pays a fucking price for that.
He does, but honestly, and
Derek.
people are going to say that I'm saying this for the wrong reasons.
Uh-huh.
So, based on what you just said, when he turns his back on the Aryan Brotherhood, everybody's like, yay, Derek did the right thing. Well, they might, if they haven't seen the movie, think that the reason he turned his back was because he realized what was going on was wrong.
The error of his ways, yeah.
And that wasn't the
case.
No. He turned his back because they were fucking dealing drugs to Mexicans, and the Mexicans were selling it to more whites.
Which meant that they weren't being true to what they were projecting as their convictions, and he thought they were a bunch of hypocrites.
Absolutely. And that's why he said, fuck you. And I think I would have done the same thing. Black, white, brown, doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. If you tell me, like, if you're a dumb shit that has a big fucking tattoo that says brown pride on your back, and Mexicans are the only ones, and whatever, we're not dealing with you fucking
this is or that.
Yeah. Then you see somebody doing it. Yeah. You're not really worth your salt.
You're conducting business
right.
with somebody who's got a big old swastika on that chest.
Or even laughing and joking with them. I mean, seriously. And I know that that's the way people in prison systems want to keep it. That segregation.
Yeah, everybody's you're in your own group, but when it comes to commerce, then commerce happens.
Well, not necessarily the commerce part. I was just thinking, we want to keep the white people over here, we want to keep the black people over here, Mexicans are here.
But I think it's fair to say, if somebody's going to make money and you have to go through this river, this tribe, then you're going to.
Well, I think more with the prison systems, it's like, because most of them are selling drugs or cigarettes or toilet wine, whatever, right?
Whatever. Yeah.
All of those things keep you satiated. You're not wound up.
Yeah, you don't make them become Puritans, because if you make them become Puritans, then people are going to kill each other.
So if you're selling all of that stuff, especially fucking heroin, then you don't have to worry about fucking riots as much. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot of fucking junkies that are gonna fucking
but that means
burning down the prison unless you get rid of the heroin.
By that token, and this is just conjecture, but my guess is, so this person is part of this white group, right? And they need to get some junk so that they can get other junk for other people in the white group. You don't cross-pollinate when you're selling. You sell to your own kind. Like in my experience when I was a kid, that's why we didn't get fucked up by the people that we were living down the street from, because we didn't try to. We sold to the people that were tied to our past. We didn't sell.
Well, you
Sweet
didn't,
guys,
you
so it's not
didn't,
anything
you
else.
didn't sell on their turf,
Yeah.
which was different.
We were selling on their turf.
Well, no, people were coming to you.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Though we had our external.
Right, you're not selling to their customer
we had our
base.
customer base. They had their customer base, and we did not try to penetrate their customer base.
Right.
Wouldn't you think it'd be the same I mean, of course, this is all just a guess for me and you anyway. But.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I've understood, is that certain groups, depending on where you are in the country, are going to control heroin. And then another group might control coke.
Okay.
It's rarely both, from what I understand, but it probably is, so depending on where you are.
There is some cross-pollinating then.
Yeah, and again, so the Aryan Brotherhood, according to gang books and shit that I've read, movies I've watched, documentaries, not just movies like American History X. The Aryan Brotherhood is partnered with and has done hits for La M. So I think that they realized somewhere that MA is bringing heroin over. So if we want heroin to sell outside of the prison walls, we need to make friends, and then we're just going to kick them a percentage of whatever it is we're selling. And I could have it wrong. It might be Nuestra.
That's got to be kind of an interesting thing, because then what you're suggesting there is the political economy that functions outside of the prisons in relation to these gangs has a direct connection to the political economy that functions inside the prison as it relates to these
absolutely gangs. Do. So especially in California, right? And I don't want to make it sound like California is where it all started, because there were gangs before, but somehow I can't quite trace it. MA is Southern California. MA hated Nuestra Familia, which is Northern California. So now with here in, like, say, the Colorado area, there are blood gangs that are, make sure I got that right, I think either way, one of them are norteños and one of them are sureños. Now they're not MA blood, like American Me or blood in, blood out, right? But they are associates. So the norteños work with Nuestra and the sureños work with MA. And that has gone from California clear the fuck to here, and I've heard about it happening in New York. Chicago, as far as the Latin gangs, I know they've got the 5 Latin Kings is the big one, and there's some breakoffs and breakaways and whatever, but it translates from in to out. And this doesn't have shit to do with movies. I just want to mention it because you and I were talking about it earlier. So, well, maybe it does. So I was watching Narcos Mexico. Obviously, you guys know Chapo Guzman was arrested. He is here in Florence, Colorado at the Supermax. So Narcos Mexico, I think, did a good fucking job of portraying what happened. I mean, they showed the power vacuum after Escobar went away, and then after the Cali cartel went away, and then how all of the different fucking cartels within Mexico started fighting over roots and drugs and whatever. So Chapo Guzman gets arrested. He's at Florence. but he's worth billions of dollars. I mean, he made the fucking Forbes list. And he's just in the can. So this guy down in Florence, who's supposed to bring him his food or make him take a fucking shower or whatever guards do, does he really have any juice over Chapo? Or is he fucked? I mean, because he's constantly worried about them killing his kids or peeling the skin off his fucking face, whatever nasty shit they want to do.
Those cartels are very imaginative when it comes to trying to communicate something to somebody that they want to understand what the meaning of it is.
So, I mean, as far as shows and relating to real life and transnational capital, I mean, granted, it's illegal.
That is an expression. That's important. It's important to understand that these things, they're not based in one specific municipality. They're not in one nation state. They're not in one. I mean, that doesn't mean that there's fluidity, but just because you put this guy, like the networks that are tied to his son just got
arrested too.
Yeah, But even still, like he was doing what he was doing, and you're gonna put him away too. They flew him here, didn't they? That was the last thing I heard.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because you stay up on the media so much. Yeah, I forget. Your media is Narcos.
Well, so back in 2011, you know those, and I apologize to the listeners that aren't here in the vicinity, but remember those shitty apartments over on Bellevue? And remember when they said, well, it's the Mexican mafia, somebody kicked in the door and killed 2 people, and the ones right above the park.
That's where I used to get my acid.
Not the white one though. The one's right below the white one.
Okay, yeah,
it
was the white one.
To the west.
Yeah, I know
yeah, the white ones were fucking drug central. You could go to one level for one drug, and
where I got the fascist pigs and the fucking barrel of monkeys, and
yeah,
that was 100 years ago.
It was a great fucking building. But I know people that were fucking scared of the people that got shot in that apartment. And what was that? 2009, 2010? Anyway, they were scared of those guys, and they were fucking clear down at the fucking bottom of the ladder. So just imagine how many rungs you have to climb to get to fucking Chapo, and how fucking scary he would be compared to some dipshits in a fucking shitty apartment. And I'm sure if they hear me calling them dipshits, they're going to be like, fuck you, except they're dead. But
sorry,
dead air.
I can't.
That's what we call that.
I can't help but keep doing research sometimes.
Were you looking up Chapo?
I was looking up his son.
Oh, okay.
I was looking up to see what happened. Yeah, El Chapo son. Arrest January 13th, 2023. Yep. So there was a fucking gunfight that was going on. I think there was at the airport. I don't know if it was in Mexico City or where he was flying from, but there was a gunfight at the fucking airport while he was flying away. And then when he landed, I don't know if he got arrested on the plane. They were trying to stop him from being arrested, I think. And I think when he was on the plane, he was getting arrested, something to that effect. But whatever. He was arrested again this year.
It's crazy, dude. And so again, I know I harp on this all the fucking time. I did it in the prostitution one. I did it in the last one. If you don't want to make guys like that and his dipshit offspring powerful,
then you make it legal.
I mean, is there another answer?
Well, I mean, you know that I don't.
No. I mean, but seriously, in theory,
it depends.
We can't burn it all.
It depends on what your intention is. I mean, if your intentions are good, then the answer is to make it legal. If your intentions are to continue to use the drug war is, using money to fight, finance black bag operations around the world, or to be able to move power structures in places like Afghanistan. Where the triangle. What's that? What do you say? Where
Which
the
triangle?
heroin one, isn't it?
Well, so there's down in Mexico, they've got what they call the Golden Triangle, which is basically, I think Sinaloa's on one corner. Anyway, there's 3 points. I can't remember which one, but it all started in Sinaloa, and it was kind of, at least initially, started with wheat. But you're talking about in Asia with heroin,
Southeast
right?
Asia, I think.
Yeah.
There's something I can't remember some name. Yeah, I mean we use these things. The royal we, that means the we. It's not me and Brian we. It's not this nuestra. It's the big nuestra. They use it as a way to finance things. I mean, it wasn't just Iran Contra. It's something that sort of functioned. And I mean, like they're talking about putting together a new church committee, like the Republicans were when they won the House this last time. I mean, you think about what happened in the church committee in the 1970s, where there were a lot of things that were exposed about what intelligence agencies were doing. But again, even then, I'm sure it was to a certain extent, and there was still a lot of shit that was blacked out. What do they call that? When they put a line through? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Redacted. Yeah, there's a bunch of shit that's redacted. We're going, I think that trying to have a church committee in this space and time is the epitome of hilarious. Like when the people that I listen to, I mean, they talk about elections in the church committee and talking shit about, the way that the CIA and the Homeland Security and the FBI were using Twitter. I mean, it's always too little, too late right now. I mean, the damage is you're always like 16 steps behind, and what you find out about is only what you're shown. So it's only what you're allowing to be seen.
Okay, so then, I mean, because the money would still be there if we legalized it, right? Because now people are paying taxes on whatever it is they're buying, and I have a guess that a lot more people would be going to buy it if it were legal and not illegal, because it fucks me up to think, but people don't actually, there are some people that don't buy drugs because they're illegal, not because they don't want to use them. So I think more people would be buying them, so there would be more money to finance little police actions to fucking South America or Southeast Asia or wherever. But do you think that they like to use illegal drugs because of the slush fund thing and that it's not on a budget?
Yeah, I mean, you're literally, like, if you eliminate the drug trade in the way that it functions today, and this is obviously something we're going to have to go into a lot more next week, but if you eliminate the drug trade in the way that it functions today, you have to change the whole structure of the way that our intelligence agencies function, because they function in relation to it. You have to change. You're transforming the political economy of Afghanistan, of Mexico, of all of Central America, of Colombia. These places are going to have to become drastically different. And like what you're doing is basically, it's like you're taking the thing that's between us and the people, and you're removing it entirely. Like, we don't know how to function in an honest environment like that. But that's what you're, ostensibly that's what you're suggesting at that point in time, is we start to make moves towards, and then, like you're saying, military actions would then become, they wouldn't be like these goofy prima facie military actions. They would become rooted in something like we were all so proud of what we succeeded at in World War II. I mean, we haven't done anything militarily since then, that we could identify as being concretely powerful. And I mean killing Osama bin Laden too, because that could have been fucking avoided. We could have done things totally different in the late 80s when it came to Afghanistan foreign policy.
It also may have never happened. I mean, depending if you believe the media and Zero Dark 30 and whatever, but
that bin Laden actually wasn't killed.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but that's my point exactly, though.
Is the propaganda?
Yeah. I mean, we're not, like, I'll make jokes at work when people say I'm at least a healthy skeptic, if not a sick cynic. I mean, like, this is the world we live in. If you're not skeptical, then you're an idiot. But if you at least have to be cynical, because all of the systems that are functioning. Again, it's like the curtain. You don't even know when you're. It's like the Matrix, like where no, it's more like 13th floor where you see something, but you don't even know if you're seeing the highest level to where you're actually like engaging in truth. Everything has been bullshitted on so many different levels at this point that we don't even know how to be honest with regards to how we construct domestic policy, foreign policy, markets, decriminalize drugs.
Well, so obviously, if we legalize drugs, you have to get rid of the DEA. I mean, there's no point to them anymore.
We should talk more about this next week.
Sorry.
We should talk about prisons a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine, dude. I mean, I know that we're on prisons, but it still just fucking irritates the shit out of me because, I mean, he really is down there and he's got so much juice because of the fact that he was selling heroin from fucking, well, as the number one from fucking, like, what, 98 to fucking when he was arrested?
Mm-hmm.
Again, he made the fucking Forbes list.
Yeah. I know.
Okay, so so we talked about American History X. We talked about Oz and Orange is the New Black.
You should talk about American Me a little bit and Blood In, Blood Out, and kind of like what those kind of like showed us about the emergence of certain power structures inside and outside, gangs inside and outside of those prisons. Maybe a little bit. I mean, I know we're talking about that some. But...
Well, so both movies, and I think, I don't know, I think Blood In, Blood Out, I think they were written by two different people or teams, whatever. But I think they were basically the same fucking story. It was about this one Mexican kid who had like a white kid who was his friend.
About those locals forever homes.
Right. They or maybe one of them was supposed to be just in Spanish, and I don't fucking know. They were basically the same fucking movie. So
was American Me? I remember Blood and Blood Out was almost 3 hours long. It was a long fucking movie.
Yeah, they were both long. And I think American Me might have gone a little more into the side once they got into prison and how they branched out as much as they did. But again, they were essentially the same. So young kid is probably 15, 16 years old, Mexican. He gets arrested and sent to juvie. In juvie, he starts getting raped his first night in. So he fucking gets a fucking knife and goes and fucking kills that guy. And like from that moment on, everybody there was not only scared of him, but they appreciated him for killing the rapist because apparently all of them had been raped. Pretty soon, white kid ends up in juvie with him.
His buddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
They play handball, basketball, whatever. Pretty soon, they reach age and they're transferred to the actual adult prison.
Okay. County, state, federal?
They're at state.
Okay.
I think they first landed in San Quentin,
okay,
if I remember it correctly. So they started getting too big and too powerful within the prison they were in, whether it was San Quentin or any of the other fucking 2,000, and that's an exaggeration, prisons in California. They started getting too powerful. So, in all their infinite wisdom, they decided to break them up. So they took at least the top tier of leadership, if not 2 or 3 tiers. Again, it's a movie. I don't know how accurate it is.
It's hard to know. And you're not going to, that stuff's not put in the history books, oddly enough.
So they broke up the prison gang and they sent them to other prisons. But before they they left, dude, same guy that got raped in juvie, said, hey, they don't understand. They think that they're making us weaker, but really they're making us stronger.
Yeah, because we're spreading it out. Yeah.
So you guys need to recruit everybody with brown skin. You need to recruit and bring them with us everywhere. So this went on, and they got more and more powerful throughout the California penal system. But then these fucking farmer guys start getting arrested up in Northern California, and they end up kind of drifting down into Central California, like Fresno, whatever. And MA takes offense to it, says, hey, fuck you. You're in our prison. 2, you can't have your own, what do they call them? Clica.
Gang, essentially.
Right. And so that's where they so from like the late 60s, early 70s up until, the late 80s, they showed this progression of the growth of MA and the birth of Nuestra Familia and how they kind of clash against each other and what that meant to all of the violence that spread throughout California and then the Southwest and all over.
Huh. I really think I need to watch American Me. And maybe if I do it, I'll go back and watch old Vatos Locos Forever Homes. How did he take? So did his leg really get taken off, or was that just part of the story?
No, he was missing the leg in both movies.
Okay. I just remember
because you're talking about the white guy, right?
Is that the one? But he wasn't just white. He was a half and half, wasn't he?
Maybe, I don't know. I just
half and half. Dude. I almost remember like that being a part of it.
I swear they called him Güero, but
yeah, well, they called me Güero too.
Well,
I'm a Güero. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, they don't say at the beginning of the story. By the way, white guy was half Puerto Rican.
This is the family tree.
The guy who played a white guy was not white at all.
He used to be half and half, but once he got his leg cut off, he was more 60-40.
God damn it, we're retarded.
Yeah, that was not a nice thing. This was fucked up. But I love you guys. I love the way that you guys are so tight with each other. I just wish that you could take it to a different level. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and again, they weren't that fucking tight at the end because, he started having doubts. So he got paroled also. And he met this chick. And she tried to turn him around, and, show him the error of his ways because he had been
Yoko Ono.
Kinda. Except it was a Mexican Yoko Ono. But she, he had been in since he was 15, 16. So he gets out and he's fucking 35, 40. He'd been in a long time. And they finally ended up hooking up. But he couldn't do it until he flipped her over and fucked her in the ass. And that was like where she was like, we can't hang out anymore. We're done. So he went back in. I can't remember what his parole violation was, but he went back in and he ended up writing her a letter saying, hey, I'm sorry. I know you're right.
I really am sorry about the anal penetration.
No, not that, just everything in general. But probably that too.
That was where shit came to a head. That was fucking funny, dude. Come on.
I fucking laughed. What do you want me to say?
Totally inappropriate too, but fuck, it was funny.
So they ended up fucking stabbing him a whole bunch of times and throwing him off of the third tier when he went back to prison because the white guy noticed he was getting soft because of this chick. And then he went back in and he told him, "You need to clean him up, take him out." They stabbed him, like I said, a whole bunch of times and fucking threw him off the third tier.
And that was that.
That was it. All done.
So the widow was calling the shots then, huh?
At that point. At least on the outside. And then he talked to whoever on the inside. But
that, I mean, that's where that shit gets so complicated because you really like I don't even know that I want to understand all of it, just for their own protection. But it is odd to think about the way that those structures they're all part of the same thing. I mean,
I don't know if you can. I don't even know if people that are in it understand it.
Yeah, they honeycomb that shit too.
Yeah, I mean, and for the longest time, so many of these prison gangs or just gangs in general would fucking, throw tattoos on or wear certain colors, whatever, so that you could fucking identify who they were with. And that never made any sense to me. I'm like, what? If you wanted to avoid your enemies or the police or anyone, why would you put a big fucking sign on your head? That just never made sense to me.
Well, you'll have to ask them that question someday because they're pretty smart about the way they were criminals. I have to assume that there was.
Well, no, so they've backed off of it a lot. Like now,
the flag concept, yes.
Yeah, you do not do that. All of the shit that was in writing before, because lots of them had fucking like tenets to being part of this whatever. They got rid of all of that shit because they realized that the easier they're identified, the easier they're getting thrown in.
And if somebody wants to infiltrate their organization, they just have to look the part.
Right.
Yada yada yada.
Throw a fucking 13 on your fucking chest.
And that means infiltrate, whether it's the state or a rival gang. I mean, anybody that would want to.
Or an 8-8. Ocho. And strangely enough, that's fucking white supremacy, dude. And they thought that they were coding that. So you don't have to be a fucking brilliant code breaker to realize that 8 means H and H, which is,
Yeah, Heil. Yeah.
Not Heil. Hi.
Hi, Al.
So they tried to do stupid shit like that. I mean, I think it got kind of confusing because I think white supremacists wear 13 also, and then MS-13 came in and started wearing it, but whatever. So prisons helped spread gangs to a large degree. So here's another movie I never talked about. And it wasn't great, but it kind of illustrates a different type of movie. So it was called Shot Caller. And Shot Caller had what's his name from Game of Thrones? He ended up with the Lannister dude that ended up with the golden hand because he lost.
You're talking about Jamie, but I don't
Jamie
know what his
Lannister.
name is in real life.
No, that's fine. So, but Jamie Lannister, not Jamie Lannister, but the actor who played Jamie Lannister played in this movie called Shot Caller. And he was a fucking banker, investment banker, and he and his wife and his friend and his wife, it doesn't matter, all went out drinking one night, and they're driving, fucking around.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Yep, that's him. I'd just call him Jamie Lannister.
You're not really who you are in real life. You're just the gold-handed guy.
They get in a huge fucking car accident, and the friend dies.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets arrested for fucking manslaughter or whatever, ends up going in. And of course, since he's white, all of the fucking white guys glom on to him and they say, look, here it's tribal, you got to stick to your own. But you can't just hang out with us, you got to put in work. And so he starts fucking smuggling drugs in his ass and doing all kinds of crazy shit. And then he ends up killing somebody, and then he kills another person in a riot, but this time he's caught on camera. So he gets more time added, more time added, more time added. But he's working his way up the ladder, and I think they called it the Aryan Nation in the movie. So he works his way all the way up, and he finally says, I'm done with this shit. And this guy who was basically the head of the Aryan Nation says, fuck you, you're not done. This isn't a fucking job. You can't retire. And he says, no, I'm done. And he said, okay, well, remember that wife of yours? You remember your kid? Just know that we know where they are too. And we can send somebody real easily
His
to
wife's name
visit
was
them.
Kate, played by Lake Bell.
See, I know who Lake Bell is, and that's easy to pronounce. So he ends up getting in a scrap, and this kind of goes back to like the Chapo thing, dude. So this fucking security guard is ordered to bring this guy, Jamie Lannister, out to the cage because they're in like a secured housing unit, so they can't really hang out. But they've got to have yard time, so they put him in these cages. So he's ordered to bring this guy out to talk to the beast. And he ends up locking the security guard in his cage, and then he goes and unlocks the beast, and he had smuggled a fucking razor blade up his ass because he knew he was going back in. So he pulled it out of his mouth. I know I said his ass, but that's where he smuggled it into prison, but he knew he was going out in the yard, so he had it in his mouth.
He had to clean it out after he got it all shitty.
Right. And he fucking slit his carotid, and I mean, it was a mean fucking fight. But so that was a dude in the Aryan Nation that wasn't even worth as much as Chapo or moving nearly as much of anything. And he had that much juice in the California penal system. Again, not a true story. That one was fiction, but it was a newer movie.
How it comes, I mean, it looks like because he was just a normal person that got into an accident.
Right, and that's kind of why I mentioned it.
And just ends up in prison, and then, yeah, like he gets segregated to where he gets segregated, and then starts to do what he needs to do to survive. And once he gets out, he's forced to continue on with that life because inside is no different than outside at that point.
Right.
It's fucked up. Super fucking fucked up.
It was a pretty good movie, though. I was actually kind of surprised that it was as good as it was.
Yeah, it looked stupid when I started looking at it, but then the way that they framed it looks, I don't know, revealing, at least on some level.
Well, I think that there are a lot of those. I mean, because I think Kevin Bacon was in a prison movie where he was basically just a regular guy. Well, not Sleepers.
I know. He was in JFK.
Where he was just a regular guy who ended up fucking getting arrested for some reason or another.
He was a prostitute in a prison in JFK.
Yeah.
A male prostitute.
Well, he was a male prostitute outside of prison, too.
He was a male prostitute outside of prison too. That is correct.
So, I mean, and we haven't come anywhere near touching the prison movies that are out there. I mean, Cool Hand Luke is supposed to be one of them. That's a really good one. I need to watch that. Yeah. There are shitloads of them, but all of them, to one degree or another, illustrate how fucked up the prison system is, including Idiocracy and My Cousin Vinny.
But I know I hit on it, but we didn't ever really talk about it in depth. Dude, Shawshank Redemption is probably my favorite film of all time. Like I just like the way that he goes through the process of becoming what he became, and how he and Red end up becoming friends, about how they deal with the concept of hopelessness in the face of like never being able to see any possible good coming out of anything. Um, when Red says after Andy breaks out, you know, he says geology it's a reflection of his meticulous nature, because geology is about the study of pressure and time. You know, I mean, you can't come up with a better metaphor for how you would have to approach the strategy that Andy approached.
What's breaking the wall?
Yeah, I mean, just like
I still don't understand how he broke the pipe, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, and then he climbed through 500 yards of shit to freedom. You know,
so vile.
Yeah, well,
it would make a Billy Goat puke.
Yeah, and it was private prisons before private prisons exist. You know, I mean, he had this surplus of labor available to him.
It wasn't private prisons. I thought that was a state prison.
It is a state prison, but the warden realizes that he can make money off of them as a private individual. So it's the application of a premise of private prisons before private prisons existed.
So you mean bidding on those jobs?
The way that he did it, yeah, and like then using and the criminality of it
making
when they figured out what
Andy bribes,
and figuring out what Andy had the capability of going and doing, washing all the money, creating the fake accounts, creating the fake individual to do it. I mean, and then throughout it all, like just the patience, the amount of patience that you'd have to, if you want to change this society, you have to have an Andy Dufresne mentality. You have to be the most patient person in the history of the universe, and you have to just be constantly waging that war, taking a little bit out into the yard, you know, every day and dropping it.
Are you talking shit to me?
I'm just
about that.
No, I'm talking shit to anybody that would be listening to us about that. What are we doing?
Well, I don't know, but I've been pretty fucking patient. Not shit has changed. As a matter of fact, it's gotten worse, dude.
He did it for you. I mean, you gotta be more patient than that, motherfucker.
Well, he went in and 8.
No, that was when the one that killed himself.
That was '02.
Was it '02?
Yeah.
It was much later than that when Andy went in. It was the 30s, I think. Late.
Yeah, because by the time that kid went in, he'd been in there about 30 years.
Yeah, the rock and roller. That kid was funny. We liked him almost immediately. I love that movie because I don't really know how to approach anything except for in that way. You know, the system is just so big relative, and our space in relation to it is so small. I don't know. It seems to be that. And like when I wrote the letter to the postmaster when I was talking shit to him a few years ago, my second to last paragraph said, you know, we can fix this, but we're going to have to crawl through a river of shit for 500 yards, just like Andy Dufresne. I wrote that in the letter, you know, because that's what it feels like, you know. I love it. And the concept of they illustrate the concept of what the kids went through, the pain, the trauma. The concept of trauma is there, but it doesn't destroy him. You know, he keeps his eyes on the prize. When they put him in the hole after he plays that fucking music and everybody's standing there fucking listening to it, which of course is the scene that they show most when they're like talking about the movie. They can't take it away from me.
He didn't break.
Neither did Red. More importantly,
Red kind of fucking broke. He's the one that told Andy hope is a dangerous thing.
But then he waited and he broke his parole and he went and found him.
Right, but that never mind, dude.
I'm gonna interpret a little different than you.
Okay, I know that he finally did say fuck it, I'm done. But it wasn't until he saw Brooks was here carved into the fucking ceiling that he said, fuck this, I'm not institutionalized. I got this fucking postcard from somewhere in Texas. I'm going to buy a bus ticket.
That's where he crossed that. Yeah.
While he was still in prison, he thought Andy was crazy as a motherfucker and told him hope is a dangerous thing.
But he came back and he went to San Juan.
I know. Another
the ocean,
fucking stupid Hollywood ending. And don't get me wrong,
has
dude.
No memory.
I love Shawshank Redemption. It's a great movie. But I don't buy that both of them fucking escaped and ended up on the beach.
Well,
and that's why I always
Andy escaped.
Well, right, but
Red got paroled.
He escaped.
He got paroled.
What do you do when you break parole?
So now you really want to get into? You're a fucking lawyer.
I am a lawyer.
I said that he broke parole. I said that he
right.
that he made
so
the
he
choice.
Escaped.
Escaped. Scare quotes. Escaped. Red made the choice. And I get that it's a Hollywood ending, but I mean, I like that Hollywood ending better than the one where everybody's fucking holding hands singing Kumbaya and they've all got a nice house and they all got good money. They're still not liberated, but they're as liberated as they can be based on where they came from.
The first several times I watched it, and probably even to this day, I still get like this sunken fucking feeling that when Red is walking down the beach, that one of the two of them is going to wake up, or they're going to get fucking stormed by FBI agents, or any fucking thing, dude. Because, I mean...
You should make your own movies, dude. Where the ends are just... One end is more nightmarish than the other. Like, you're at the peak. You're, like, at this moment, like, where, like, everything's perfect, but then you're, like, standing on the precipice and you just get fucking pushed off and your head gets split open at the bottom of fucking falling on rocks.
Right. I don't know what it is. I just have this bad fucking feeling every time. And this isn't a prison movie either, but you know that movie Chef with Jon Favreau?
I've not seen the movie. Yes, I know what it is, but no, I've not seen
it. It's not a depressing movie at all. It's supposed to be upbeat, whatever. The first 2 times I watched it, I swore something bad was going to happen. And I had seen the motherfucker all the way through. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I need to be deprogrammed.
What I think you need to do is just get a big tattoo on your forehead that says jaded.
I am a little jaded. There is no doubt. All right. So we are at a minute 12, or an hour 12, sorry.
An hour and 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured we've gone pretty far.
So next week, Wednesday-ish.
Yeah, Wednesday-ish.
We're going to talk about the drug war.
The drug war. That specifically the drug war, not just drugs, not just,
Well, and some of that is going to tie back to the drug policy one we did.
I understand.
But no, I'm just telling them.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, for you guys. Just like when I was saying the thing about spirit and the human spirit.
Well, no, I seriously thought you were talking shit to me because
maybe you were projecting in that moment, saying,
"Dude, I told you,
I am just about done. I don't have much human spirit left. I need to go have. If I could huff a balloon of the laughing gas, and it had some human spirit in it, nitrous. If you had a nitrous human spirit huffing balloon for Brian." It's not going to solve everything, but it might get his head turned. It just like change that assemblage point just enough so that like his attention like opens up.
There is no doubt this well has run dry. The
drug war.
So drug war, and then probably drug movies, and again, some of them are going to kind of cross over. Maybe we can talk about them a little more. I didn't talk about South Central.
We're going to talk about drug culture in that context too, like with regards to the drug war.
And then I think following that, we're going to talk about gangs and violence and how, well, basically we could have fucking stopped it all, but whatever. All right. Phone number?
720-334-ROLL.
Roll. Shortbusdebateclub at yahoo.com. We will see you next week.